I tell people that I want you to have in mind that your child could be in some sort of car seat safety device until they're age 13. So I bet everyone is like, holy moly.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. This is part 2 of my interview with Michelle Pratt, who's covering car seat safety. So if you missed part 1, I highly recommend you go back and watch that one first. The link is in the bio. Today we're going to talk all about car seat accessories. Which ones are okay and which ones you should probably save your money on. So we're gonna just cut to the chase because I know it's a highly debated topic. So we're gonna get into that. And I do also want to let you guys know I had some connection issues when we were interviewing at the time. So some of the questions might cut out a little bit, but all the information is there. So it'll still be good. So enjoy the episode and thanks for tuning in.
Okay, so this is, I think, kind of like a huge debate because I've seen a lot of times people post in the group too. Car seat accessories. So what's the bottom line? Which are okay? Which ones aren't? Are none of them okay?
Really, none of them are okay. I mean, here's the thing. So like as a nationally certified technician, they're all projectile risks. Many of them, the manufacturers state very specifically, like you can't hang anything off of a handle, like, any of that kind of stuff. However, I'm a mom, I understand. So here's what I tell people. The accessories that come with, like if you're going to put a toy on the handle or you want to use a mirror, for example, mirrors are like a really big thing. I have a mirror in my car. That makes everybody feel better. So what I tell people is any of the like stuff you're going to hang, like if you're using an infant car seat, like on a handle, just do that outside of the car. You really shouldn't do that inside of the car. It is a projectile risk and could come off and hurt your child or the other people in the car. Mm-hmm. If you're going to use a mirror, then zip tie it on. And I want you to use one that is soft-sided, there are some very hard-sided mirrors. Mm-hmm. I want you to use a soft-sided one and I want you to zip tie it on. The other thing people ask me about all the time are seat protectors. In my opinion, it's another thing to clean. I don't think they're necessary. I think you should save your money and go get a manicure or something. The bases of car seats now are flat. So they're not going to damage your seats. They may indent your seats for a small period of time. Then once you take them out, the seats will kind of go back to how they were. Car seat protectors can also, like vehicle seat protectors can also really mask a tight installation when you don't have one. So unless you're really skilled at what you're doing, in general, I feel like save your money. Mm-hmm. Walk past that aisle and go buy something for yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because that's another thing I've seen all the times now. Like there's like homemade things and all kinds of accessories to stick on there for all different kinds of things. So
and people, a lot of I post all the time because I don't think we can say it enough. These people are super nervous when you have a newborn about the head and neck support. Mm-hmm. It's so incredibly dangerous to add anything padding wise to your car seat that did not come with it. That includes the harness, the cutesy strap covers mm-hmm. they sell. And there's the padding. Just don't buy any of that. It's incredibly dangerous. The padding around the head, especially because it can slip behind your baby's head and push their head forward. Mm. It's scary stuff. And it's good marketing. And a lot of this stuff says that it's crash tested, but it's crash tested against nothing. There's no standard for mm-hmm. crash testing of these aftermarket products. So I just would highly recommend people steer clear of that stuff in general.
All right. So is it ever safe for a baby to sleep in the car seat, while it's outside of the car?
So babies are going to fall asleep in their car seats. It's going to happen. Here's what we want to make sure of. When they're in the car, we want to make sure that the car seat is at its proper recline level. So that keeps their body in position to keep their airway open. We want to make sure that they're harnessed in properly and tightly. I've been doing this for 2.5 years now, and I've met with over 200 families individually. And I've yet to have one family who's had it 100% right. I don't say that to scare anyone. I say that because I want everybody to understand this stuff is harder than it seems. And so in terms of sleeping in the car seat, especially the littler the child is, the newborn babies, they don't have neck control. So if they're in an uncomfortable position, they don't have the ability to lift their head up. And that's scary. So proper recline, proper harnessing in the car always, and short periods of time. We don't want the intervals of time at which you take a baby out of the car seat should be the same at which you would at home, to change them, to feed them, etc. Out of the car is what freaks people out the most, typically, because we often get car seats that we can put into a stroller and get out of the house. And I want people to get out of the house. The biggest risks that we have there are, do not unbuckle or loosen the harness in any way, shape, or form. It is there to position your baby's body. So we do not want to touch the harness. Just leave it as it is, even when they're out of the car, and eyes on them at all times. So some of these like fancy accessory wraps and stuff that people are buying to go over the car seat, we just want to make sure that you always have line of sight to your child. So we should never fully cover with some of these wraps that are sold on Etsy or other manufacturers that sell them. They need to be unzipped, pulled down, whatever, so that we can always see a baby asleep or not outside of the car. And short supervised naps. Like, we don't want to use the car seat as a sleeping device. That's not what it's intended for. We need to transfer our babies to a firm, flat sleeping surface as soon as we can. But if you're walking around Target because you need to get out of the house for a little while, I get it. Put your baby in the big part of the cart. Make sure you can see the baby.
I know you talked about on your page as well some car accessories that you recommend all moms have for safety. So what are those?
There are 2 products, 3 really. One is not like a need, but I like it. So there are 3 things that I really like. One is called the Clever Ellie, which you plug into I guess it's still called a cigarette adapter, cigarette lighter. I don't know, whatever it's called in your car. You plug it in, and it has 10 different messages to remind you not to leave your child in the car.
Oh, wow.
I love it because it helps me not leave anything in the car. Like, literally, if I get takeout food or I get groceries and I'm coming in, it's just a super helpful tool. So I highly recommend people have a system in place just to make sure we're not leaving children in the car, because it can happen to anyone. So that tool I really like a lot. So the second one that I think is really critical for people to have, just for peace of mind as much as anything, is I use the brand Rescue Me. There are a couple of other brands out there, but it's a seatbelt cutter and glass breaker. I have it on my keychain. I've had it since my son was born. I just think it's one of those things that if, God forbid, you are over water or fire or whatever, you need to get your kids out of the car, it's just a tool to have handy. Those are the 2 that I would say, like, I'm just personally a big fan of. The third one that I really like a lot when it's needed in the right circumstances is called the Unbuckle Me. So after I had my son, I had really bad carpal tunnel still, and buckling and unbuckling was actually really challenging for me. So this tool called the Unbuckle Me, which was started by mom and grandma, like a mom and mom company. It's a tool that helps with literally unbuckling the crotch buckle of the car seat. So it can be used for people that have like arthritis or fancy nails or carpal tunnel or any of that. And then as kids get older and maybe are in car line and don't have the dexterity to unbuckle their crotch buckle and get out and are mature enough for us to pass it back to them to do so, it's a good tool for that. Not required by any means, but I think it's something that people should be aware of because a lot of people find it super helpful to use.
I'll put the links of those in the description of the video so people can check them out, definitely. So is there like a simple test that moms can do to ensure that their child is in the car seat properly?
No, there's not like a simple test. What I tell everybody is, and we'll put this link to, please go visit a certified technician. We're all over the country, and we'll give the link to people, and I recommend that they search by zip code or county to get the best results. I have people do virtual consults with me all the time. get one of us to help you, even if you think that you're doing it right. I think it's worth having somebody take a look. I mean, like I said, the majority of people that I've worked with have had something that we could do to make their kids safer. So let's just rule out that possibility and take that worry off of our list. I mean, with harnessing, we all hear some of the basic things where, you want to make sure that the harness is tight. You want to make sure that the chest clip is at armpit level. You want to make sure that you never unbuckle any parts of it. You want to make sure when they're rear facing that the straps are at or below their shoulders, forward facing at or above. I mean, I could give you like a lot of things. So just follow my page and I'll answer them over time. But getting a specialist to kind of give you a once over, even if you think you're doing it right, like what better peace of mind than to be like, okay, great, I'm nailing it. Or if you're not nailing it, then to get the help that you need.
So how often should you be changing your child's car seat?
I tell people that I want you to have in mind that your child could be in some sort of car seat safety device until they're age 13. So I bet everyone is like, holy moly. But I honestly wish somebody would have like put that in my head. Just like, tell me what I'm working with here so I can, just know what to expect. The reality is an adult seatbelt is made for adults. So we wouldn't call a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old an adult. They often also do not fit, but they almost never fit in an adult seatbelt. So the car seat progression, and this is something else we could link, is I couldn't find like a checklist of how do I know what to do when. And so I created them because I just said, can somebody take me through what are the steps that I need to know before I move from one stage to the next. So I have those as a free resource on my Instagram page. We want to, in general, stay in the car seat stage that we're in until we reach the height or weight limit of that stage. The exception is an infant seat. Like if you're using a bucket seat, like with a handle, that one you can move to the next stage when you want to, really. I mean, you bought it, so you might want to use it for a little while. But when it starts becoming inconvenient or really heavy, and obviously if your child is getting ready to outgrow it, we're going to move to the next stage. But that whole reach the height and or weight limit, one or the other, it doesn't matter which one. If you hit one of them, then it's time to move to the next stage. I tell people to max it out. You've spent a lot of money on these seats, and we know that keeping them in the positions that they're in based on that height and weight aligned with their age and their body development is what's safest. So I like people to kind of max out those limits.
All right, guys, so that was part 2 of my interview with Michelle Pratt from Safe in the Seat. All of the important links and information that she talked about in the interview is linked below, so go ahead and check those out. It's super helpful. And also, I'm going to remind you guys again, in the meantime, check her out on Instagram at Safe in the Seat. She's got some amazing posts that are so informational, so definitely check those out. Part 3 is next week. We got some more tips coming your way, so we'll see you then.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. It should be down here somewhere. We release new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're not following us yet, be sure to follow us at Mommy Knows Best on Instagram. And remember, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you are a great mom. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.